Big black guy in the car! Big black guy in the car!
I feel sorry for this guy right here.
Hello, yo wankers! Today we will be talking about none other than the Chimney Sweeps. He was created by the deviant user Concentration Moon. Her account no longer exists, so I had to subscribe to her Patreon to get access to what's left of the story of Chimbley. So I do apologize for any missing pieces. Chimbley is an orphan boy who canonically is a native born of the city of Tally. He usually just goes by his job title, the Chimney Sweep, or Chimbley Sweep, but it's implied that his real name is actually Nigel. We start out our adventure with Chimbley, asking around to clean people's chimneys for money, and it just so happens that the man who hired him also just happens to be the same professor who invented the wishing machine, and he's about to talk with his friends and family about hosting the tournament for the final wish. Chimbley overhears their plan and points out how bad of an idea this is, but no one listens, and he's even bullied into joining the fight. Fun fact, viewer, because of the canon nature of Chimbley Sweep's story, this means that the fight event was hosted by the Freemasons, and the wishing machine itself is literally just the magical fortune teller machine that you see in carnivals. In round 1, Chimbley goes up against an opponent named Saf by the contestant Gothchalk. Sadly, we do not have any records of this first round because both the original DeviantArt accounts have been deleted. I have checked everywhere and Gothchalk is completely gone. We also do not have any records for the first round from the perspective of Chimbley. Iris J has admitted that due to hardware problems, that part of the story is lost. But future me will edit what I believe the first fight looked like between Chimbley and Saf. In round 2, Chimbley goes up against a character named Spoiler. The fight is quick and basic. Essentially, Spoiler accidentally hits a different contestant, and this disqualifies him from the tournament. Despite the fact that Spoiler didn't make it far in the tournament, I personally can't wait to do a deep dive on the character. He has a very interesting history, and it is still relevant to this day. Right after the encounter, Chimbley retreats to his hideout, only to find that someone else has stolen his things, and this triggers the next exciting fight with Joshua Bell, the hooker from hell. Their words, not mine. Joshua has the power of gun and AIDS, and begins to have an oppression Olympics against Chimbley.
You cops. Cops? Us? Are you cops?
Let me handle this, Chairman. No, sir, we ain't 5-0.
You holding?
No, we ain't, Captain. We're just looking for an old gizmo about yay big. A few years back, this fella's old man left him with your old man.
My old man?
Yes, your father was...
Whoa! Don't you talk about my father! Ow!
Eventually, Joshua accidentally moons the security and gets shot. After this, he canonically always meets up with Steffi, before he inevitably encounters Carl. How is he still alive after that kick is beyond me.
But you don't think that gives you the right to kill me? I can't die here. I've survived worse things than this. No, I had a day like this at least once per week. I've passed through orphanages, academies, the streets, a miserable working in an asylum that became some journey for no logical reason. I faced demons, fanatics, doctors, cancers, a climber, even zombie children.
A climber?
And now the same mishmash decided to wreck my city, the only home I've got.
So that's why you don't want to die here? That's alright. I understand.
What?
Go die in New Jersey!
In the end, he gets saved by Climber and Jack, and also helps a little in the finale. In the non-canon round 4, Chimbley defeats Carl with the power of dating and Riz in a live-action movie. Feel free to check it out in the description below. Also, in the non-canon ending, from Chimbley's perspective, the professor betrays Annie so that he can run off with Carl wearing a corset. After everything is said and done, Chimbley goes off to London to begin the events of his solo comic where he takes on the Freemasons on a different adventure that got cancelled. But before we go, here are Irish J's final words on the character.
Whenever I tell people, it comes off as funny at first, like revealing an embarrassing secret from high school. Oh yeah, I was a big name in the original character tournament scene on 2000's DeviantArt. Remember OCTs? No? Hold on, let me explain. But by the time I'm done giving my shopworm synopsis of who the Chimbley Sweep is, why I stopped drawing him, and his strange, undying fan following, my audience's amusement inevitably curdles into confusion and faint horror. Maybe it's the most Decemberist-ass way this whole fiasco could have shaken out, but for the last decade, I've been haunted by the restless ghost of a Victorian orphan. Perhaps giving you this collection, offering up every last scrap of his earthly remains I still possess, will placate his troubled spirit and convince him to leave me in peace. Somehow, though, I doubt it. I decided to toss my hat in the OCT ring back in 2007 when I was younger, brasher, and had a hell of a lot more time on my hands. Craving attention and itching to prove myself, I set my sights on Endzone, an OCT run by DA user Endling, set in the world of his comic project Ever After. A comic that dared to ask, what if a bunch of fairy tale characters lived in an insane asylum and had murder powers? For those of you who weren't there, 2000's DeviantArt really was just like that. Endzone was one of the first OCTs, and it felt like a major event due to Endling's popularity at the time. Competition would be tight, so I wanted to create a character who'd really stick out from the rest of the competition. I was also severely in my twee indie rock phase at the time, so entering a destitute chain-smoking street urchin named after a Decemberist song seemed like a fantastic idea. Being a sickly little kid, he wouldn't really be able to fight, per se, but I could use each round as an excuse to completely tear down and parody my opponent's OCs, making them look irrational and ridiculous while Chimbley dodged their attacks. Surprisingly, this tactic worked. To a point. Chimbley got all the way to the quarterfinals, where I got trounced by a really impressive piece of Adobe Flash animation by DA user Unknown Person, who apparently works as a professional animator these days. How rad is that? OCTs do sharpen your skills, kids. A year later, in 2008, I was invited to Law of Talos, another OCT run by some of the folks who participated in Endzone. Kind of a bigger, more elaborate spiritual sequel. Again, Chimbley ridiculed his way to the quarterfinals, where I again got beaten by another, even cooler, Unknown Person animated short. My entry was a 9-minute live-action film featuring myself and some college buddies dressed up as Chimbley, UP's character Carl, and other characters. At the time, I was astonished I lost. Watching the film nowadays, though, yeah, UP definitely earned that win. Ugh. Over the course of these two OCTs, Chimbley gained a cult following, and the comments and notes poured into my DA account's inbox. And that's when things started to get a little weird. I hadn't been on the internet for very long back then, and the term parasocial relationship was a long way from anyone's lips at the time. Fans started to get really weirdly possessive of Chimbley, and they were so excited to tell me exactly what they would do with him. Give him a hug, give him a kiss, legally adopt him, take a bath with him, kidnap him, get naked with him, hold his head underwater until he stops moving, have a child with him, have a litter of puppies with him, and your dog OC. There were stranger and nastier comments that I won't go into here for your sake and mine. As someone who was really new to internet celebrity and who had a really uncomfortable and strained relationship with sexuality at the time, all of this weird, intense, and occasionally stomach-turning attention began to wear away at me. In addition, I felt uncomfortable with shitting on the hard, creative works of others to get ahead in OCTs. You can get famous for being a rude asshole, especially on the internet in 2008, but you can't stay famous, and I didn't want my career to be defined by that kind of behavior. Chimbley was still my most marketable IP, though, so I did a short 21-page standalone comic starring him for advanced manga and Japanese storytelling class in my junior year at SCAD. I figured, hey, if I give him a fresh start, totally separate from the OCT scene, maybe that would solve a bunch of problems. But it didn't stop the creepers from calling, and it didn't stop Chimbley's popularity from eclipsing the rest of my creative output. Also, some real actual Freemasons talk about me at a comic convention, and I don't need that kind of heat in my life. In 2013, thoroughly over the whole affair and eager to move on with my life, I decided, maybe a little hastily in retrospect, to deactivate my DeviantArt gallery and wipe all the art stored on it, including the original Chimbley Sweep Fight comics. Since then, I've started several new webcomics. I've trans the hell out of my gender, and I've cultivated a reader base full of kind and respectful people who, as far as I'm aware, would not murder a child for sexual gratification. I'm way more of a weird, horny nowadays myself, but, I still gotta draw a line somewhere. Chimbley was a bizarre footnote my old life, and my old life is over now. Washed away by the endless tides of time. Right? Wrong. Over the course of the 2010s, I gradually became aware that the Chimbley fans I had left behind hadn't stopped liking him. People roleplayed him on Tumblr, Ask Blogs, they made fan art and fan fiction of him, and they would occasionally squirm out of the woodwork to ask me when he'd make his triumphant return. From 2014 to 2019, I could reliably count on getting asked about him at every convention I attended. I even got emails from people who wanted me to sell him to them, including an actual chimney cleaning company who were cool with child labor, I guess, and a young aspiring author who insisted the novel they were writing could only work with Chimbley as the lead character, and not just any random filthy Victorian child with the serial numbers filed off. Most recently, the Law of Talos OCT has regained popularity on TikTok, of all places, with ersatz nostalgic Zoomers scraping the darkest corners of the internet to piece together a record of comics and art that nobody expected anyone would want to read nearly 15 years later. There are Chimbley Sweep fans still out there. He is still a phenomenon. I don't know why, and I'm not sure I ever will. Collected in this archive edition are the previously mentioned standalone 21-page Chimbley Sweep one-shot, plus the 5-page proof of concept I also did for manga and Japanese storytelling class, and an assortment of sketches and ephemera. I also included Chimbley's introduction comic, and second and third fights from Law of Talos. These are the only Chimbley Sweep OCT comics I've been able to find in my archives. The rest have, regrettably, or maybe mercifully, been lost to time. Why don't I talk about Chimbley anymore? There's all the weird asshole baggage I just unloaded on you, sure, but also for a much simpler answer. He reminds me of who I used to pretend I used to be, and I'm not really nuts about that person. I transitioned out of a desire to stop being that person. Revisiting him for this archive edition was ultimately bittersweet, I'm still proud of the one shot and some of the art I did featuring him, but I'm also ultimately glad I've grown past him. All that said, if you're still a fan of his, I'm glad he's still bringing you joy on this bitch of an earth. And hey, maybe I'll bring him back someday, if some rich weirdo decides to start an OCT that pays its artists enough to justify making a hole in my schedule. Or maybe I could do sponsorships, cover Chimbley's outfit and logos like a little NASCAR driver. Until then, I hope he inspires you to make your own OCs, to make amazing new work alongside other young artists, and most importantly, to stop asking me about them.